Hey guys, I'm back here on this belly tank. I'm going to show you what I'm starting with. So what I've got here is a piece of 060 aluminum, and it's just a flat deal that I sheared. As you can see, my scribe mark right there, barely. So what I use is a set of calipers. These are a pretty handy tool in the sheet metal industry. So these here, if you know your measurements, these work bitchin' for scribes. And that's how I can get my equal measurements. You just kind of slide one end down and it stays consistent all the way down the panel. So what I'm doing, I'm taking this aluminum and I'm putting it in my brake and I'm bending it. As you can see, mine reads, I'm bending it about 80 degrees, maybe 85. And then I'm getting this, because this isn't a true 90. As you can see, it's slightly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get it from here, and then I'm gonna take it over to the shrinker stretcher, and I'm gonna stretch to fit the contour of this belly tank, kind of like what I did here. As you can see, it's clecoed in. That's the front of it. And this one was a little tricky. This isn't. So as you shrink or stretch this gets all puckered up. So what I had to do, I had to come in here and shrink this so it could lay back, and I had to shrink it around here to keep it flat. What I'm gonna do is, once I get this panel in, I'm gonna get these and I'm gonna end up welding these when it's all clecoed to this side of the tank. Then when I take out all my clecos, I could flip it over so it's almost like a huge window, because when I cut this one apart, some sides kind of ballooned out a little bit from the structure because it already had a 90 flange on it. So after I weld this one up, I know that when I flip it over, this one here has to meet that frame that I'm gonna make. So when I lay this top back onto the bottom of this belly, it'll line up accordingly. So I'm gonna bend this last one here. I'm gonna bend it, and that one is for this tail section. And it's gonna require some more work down here. But as you can see, I'm starting to get my pieces made. And then once I get it all clecoed, I'll weld up those ends, all the splices. And then once I weld those up, then I can transfer it over to this. I've got some cleanup to do on the top lid. Grind all my cutting frays off to where it's all nice and flat. And then I'm gonna have to notch these ribs. I don't know if he wants to keep them, but I'm gonna notch them so my panel will get here. And then once I get all that on, then I'll have to cleco it to the bottom accordingly, or clamp it. It's gonna have to get clecoed to this top piece, and then I'm gonna use the airplane rivets with a special tool and a bucking bar to kind of fit that era. He didn't care if we had rivets, but I figured that's gonna be a lot better than trying to weld on this and this whole tank go array on me. So the rivets will hold all these panels in place, and then once he gets that point, he can come in and start cutting sections where he wants different panels to be removed. So I'm gonna bend up the last one to the 90 degrees, and then I'll show you how the shrinker and the stretcher works. All right guys, so I got my piece of material bent up. So I got most of it made. So what I'm gonna do, this is the stretcher, this is the shrinker, and all it is a set of jaws that come in and move the metal or spread the metal. So I'm gonna show you, like right now I'm working on a subtle piece on this belly tank, and I'm gonna stand right here. So these jaws will just kind of separate. And as I go, you want to be real consistent with this. And then as you can see, it's starting to take shape. So the other side, over here, it does the opposite. And it's going to shrink the material. So I'm shrinking it so it's going to curve inboard. This is curving outboard. So I'll show you the tool. So this here is the tool. And as you can see inside there, there's jaws. And I'll see if I can. So as you watch, you see them come down? Now watch, they're gonna slowly start to separate. See how they're starting to come apart right there in the center? So, and that's what moves the metal. So on the shrinker side, it's the opposite. They already start with a gap, as you can see, and they come inboard. See, that just that much. So you're getting that. So what I ended up doing is, you can see all where my clecos are. I built this border frame. Right here is where I've got to do my little patches. So I did this in one half. Not in one half, there's multiple pieces here. I'm gonna have to weld a joint right there. But as you can see, it's coming along. I got the lip bent up all the way around. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna weld those joints, and then I'll fix that center piece up there. And then once I weld it, then I'll uncleco it and I'll flip it over. Because right now, as you can see, it's like this. I'm gonna flip it over, and when I flip it over onto this one, it's gonna actually tuck inside, just like that. And then as you can see, my scribe line here, that's the width of the material. So I'm gonna have to find center, and that's where I'm gonna do all the rivets, like an aircraft. So I'll get done with that, and then I'll show you once I flip it over and put it on the lid side. All right, guys, so I'm welding up the flanges. I'm gonna see if you guys will be able to see it. So I'm gonna weld this flange using Miller Synchrate 180. So see if you guys will be able to see the arc and all that stuff. And so I'm using the gas lens on here. So with the gas lens, I can stick my tungsten out a little bit further. So the trick for doing aluminum, you see when it turns chrome, that's when I'm adding the rod. The rod that I'm using is 3003, so I could planish it if I had to. So what I'm going to do is on the back side, you heat it up, and what happens is it ends up sucking the weld all the way through. So it's 100% penetration.